Hi, hi, hi. We
Hey,
are
hey.
we are we are back for our 28-day reset guide. We
Whoop,
are
whoop.
8-day reset guide. We are on week. I'm about to forget what week we on. We're on week 3 in the reset guide, week 4 for the series, of course, and we are fall forward always. Fall for I'm so excited to get into this week with fall for always. But before we get into it, I do want to read this quote out of Fall Forward. I really like I really loved it. It says, "Nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success." And the person who made that quote was the famous Denzel Washington. Which, if
Yeah.
you do not watch his, he has different empowerment videos on YouTube that he does. Sometimes it's collectively with other people's other empowerment, but he does also these segments as well, and I listen to them every now and then, and they're really good. What he says is really, really good. So, if you get a chance, go to YouTube, Denzel Washington Empowered Messages, and listen to him. It's like very, very well. Like I
Yeah.
like when I'm feeling down and I'm driving out, put one on. I'm getting
Okay.
myself ready to start working back out. So I usually try to listen to those while I'm working out. It's just really, really helps you. It really gets your mind going and everything like that. But let's get into fall forward always. So tell me more about how did you come up with the fall forward always, and what does that mean? What does that look like for people?
Okay. Well, fun fact, you will notice probably that there's a lot of the Denzel quotes in there because I came across that because he talks about falling into success and and he encourages it. So I ran across so many and I'm like, okay, I cannot make this whole week all Denzel. It cannot
Yeah,
possibly be just this man and this man's quotes alone. That's not fair. But I love
yeah,
him so much. But when we talk about falling or even failing, that's something that, when God gave me the meaning behind life, you know, I think even the acronym of what life means is just even bigger than what I can comprehend right now, because I don't even understand sometimes, like, it's like how I came about getting that, other than the fact that God just gave it to me. He brought it to my mind. But I know that it holds a importance because nobody likes to fail,
right.
and that's something that we all struggle with, right? Nobody likes to fail, nobody likes to fall. Falling is not fun. If you fall down, that's ouch.
Yeah,
If you fall down, that's a broken bone, or embarrassment. That's a lot of things, and failing is, they kind of go hand in hand with that. And I so what I felt is important when I in during this week is about us taking something that is seen as something that's so negative and
right.
turning that around, putting the positive spin on it, because it's all about your perception. It's all about how you perceive a thing, how you look at it, right? Like they say, it's not a failure, it's a lesson. It's not falling, it's something that you learn. Yeah, it may hurt. Yeah, it's not never fun, but what is, right? You're talking about getting back into the gym. That's not fun. It can become that,
It
right? You
can.
can enjoy the process of it, just like you can enjoy the process of falling forward, right? And it's all about how you choose to move, because you do have a choice of whether you fall forward or not. Some people fall like off the proverbial horse, or they have an accident or something happens and they never get on that horse again. They
Mm-hmm.
never do that thing that they failed at again. And one of the examples that I have of that is, I remember when my children were younger and they were doing a cheer team. They were on a cheer and dance team, a community one. And I remember the young lady that was the coach of that team. Her baby girl was so adorable. She was tiny, maybe about 4 or 5 years old, maybe. And she was doing a backwards flip and fell. And immediately her mom was like, nope, we're going to do 10 backwards flips right here, right now. And so she said again, and she flipped her again, and she flipped her again, and she kept flipping her until she finished that set of 10. And then she said, now you do it. And the little girl did the flip, and she succeeded that time. She didn't fall. And she said, I could not let her um not move forward, because she would have got that fear, and then she would have never attempted the flip again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that that was so powerful, and it's really stuck with me, because I'm like, yeah, we do that if we allow ourselves to become paralyzed by what we see as failure. Sometimes it will prevent us from moving forward in the direction that God has for us in our purpose. And so that's what failing or falling forward means to me, because you do have a choice. You can choose to get up and move forward. You can choose to get up, turn around, and go back, or
Right.
you can choose not to get up at all. And now you got that woe is me syndrome, and we're rolling on the ground, right?
Right.
You have a choice on how you move in life, and that's the importance of this week's lessons, is about understanding that things will happen, right? No one's perfect. You will fall, you will fail, you will experience these moments, but those moments are exactly that, an experience. You can look at it and say, okay, this happened to me, and analyze it. Why did it happen? How can I ensure it doesn't happen again in a positive way?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that because a lot of times we look at failure, like you say, as a negative. But in order to be successful, you have to have the failures. The failures help you learn and help you grow and develop. If we were perfect all the time in something, then there's like almost like no need to grow. Like I go on the basketball court and I'm, LeBron James or Michael Jordan instantly, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Then it's like, oh, I accomplished that. Okay, let me go and I accomplished that. So it becomes like, oh, I just can do stuff, and there's no room for growth. There's no
Yeah.
room for development. There's no room for learning. And we are constantly as human beings, always learning, always developing, always, striving for our best. So you have to have those failures to know, what it is that you even what you like. So a lot of people know that I do events, or whatever. I help plan and coordinate events. And I'm always telling people, like, I'm a coordinator over a planner. Not that I don't can't
Right.
plan full events. I plan events on my own, like separate from, a client. But
Right.
when a client, I, put forth that I'm a coordinator over a planner. Why? Because not that I won't ever plan it, like do full planning again, but it's because I tend to not like to plan. But I had to have that experience to know that I don't like it. Like I'm
That's
not that I can
not
do
my
it. It's just not my thing. It's
thing.
not. It's a lot that goes behind it. It's a lot of like things that has to be done. You're constantly at someone's beck and call doing that process, and you want to show up. You want to do your best. You want to make sure everything is in order, but then it can be very, very tedious. A lot of people don't know how stressful that is on someone that plans. So, but coordinating when everything is done, and I sort of just come in and able to just execute your vision, um
Right.
that is perfect for me because I control that day. I can, hey, I'll be who you need me to be, your assistant, whatever. But I don't have to worry about like the first part of things. But that took trial and error for me
Yes.
to get to that point. It took a lot of trial and error. It took a lot of like taking on projects, like we talked last time, me taking on projects,
Oh,
taking
yeah.
on to figure that out. Like, nope, we're gonna take that off the list. We're gonna say no to that one. Um,
Right.
I come across a special person where I would do that for, but we're gonna just take that completely off the list so that way anyone that comes to me, they won't say, "Well, I thought you was a planner." Like, I can plan, you
Right.
know. But yeah, try.
but it's not my strength. And that's the thing when we um are in a place that you fail at something or fall for
Yeah.
the idea is that you discover what your strengths are, you
Right.
discover what your weaknesses are, you discover maybe areas for improvement, saying, you know what, I can do this, I
Right.
can do it, or I really want to. And then you say, okay, but this is where I am. Just like, think about it, when you go into, like, if you go into college, or you're going in, and let's say you did not take the ACT, or you're going back to school, let's say,
Right.
they give you a test to see where you end up, right? They give you that placement test.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a pass or a fail.
Right.
Sometimes it's just that you score here, or
Right.
maybe you
Wow.
score enough to make the mark to enter the college level classes. But it's a starting point. Now
Right.
you can say, well, if I can't get what I want nothing. But
Right.
then you walk away the worse off for it, instead of saying, maybe, you know what, it's going to take a little extra work, but this is something I really want.
Right.
Put in work to make sure I accomplish my task. I mean, and are you wrong either way? No, it's just a matter of choice and a
Right.
matter of options. But this is the encouragement, is to have a mindset that I'm going to make it my business to fall forward.
Right.
Catch myself when I lay down. Because like I say, we sometimes life happens, and
Right.
sometimes it does knock us off our feet. And
Yeah.
sometimes we do lay down there a little bit longer than we should.
That we
Right?
should. Yeah.
Yeah. We have that pity party, that lasts a little bit longer than 2 minutes sometime. But it's like, okay, now that I've had that, and you can give yourself grace, because we are
Sorry.
human. We are imperfect beings. Give yourself that grace and say, okay, now the pity party's been had. What
Right.
should I do now? How can I reset my mind to move forward and take this in a positive direction? And
Right.
sometimes that positive direction is maybe, like you said, with the planning, to say, you know what, I could, but that's not my cup of tea. That's
Right.
not my strength. Let me lean more toward where my strength lies, because then I can excel. Then I'm in my happy
Right.
place, found my sweet spot, and now I can really be the blessing that I'm trying to be to my clients.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times, like you said, we sometimes, get into that space where we stay in the moment of failing. We stay down. We stay
Right.
down. We feel the pain, the hurt, the agony, stress, the just, and we sometimes we stay there way too long than we need to. Or even if we're down, we're not processing what is happening while we're there. Like, we're not taking in that um I guess that inter hurt when we fail, and analyze it to the point of, like, okay, this may happen again. I may get back on that bike and I
Yeah.
may fall again,
Yeah.
but how would I prevent from myself from being injured? How do I prevent from being down too long? How do I motivate myself to pop myself back up when
Right.
because you may not have that parents, your support
Mm.
system there to help you up through those times. We as strong women, we don't like to, I know for myself, I don't like to let people know when I'm going through something. When I am in that falling process, sometimes you can feel yourself falling. You can feel that,
Mm.
feel like I'm about to get to that place. And we don't express that we are failing, that we're falling, that we're about to hit a place where we don't want to be at. And we don't want to express it because we want to make sure, like, everybody around us think that we're okay for whatever reason. We're taught that or whatever. We don't want to be vulnerable, whatever the case may be. We don't want to feel like a burden. Um, but in that same um but in the same token, it when you're down there, that's when you should have, like, your tools and what you need to do to get
Mm-hmm.
back up from that fall, from that failure, to keep going. And because it's gonna happen. It's part of life.
Right.
Part of life. Failures. You trying to be successful in anything, there's going to be a time where you're not going to get A on that exam. You're going to get that C, and you was like, I was trying for an A. Like, I
Right.
studied. it, even like jobs or career or business or family or even health wise, like, weight and all those things that tie into what we want to be successful in doesn't always we don't always have the support that we need to get through it. So we need to find tools and
Right.
ways to get ourselves out of that.
That's true. And just like you had brought something to my mind when you said about not wanting to tell people, because like mentioned before, we see failure as something embarrassing, or we don't want, and it always trips me out how imperfect people expect perfection.
Mm,
We're imperfect people, and yet we expect perfection out of ourselves.
yeah,
Like, how in the world is that possible? Why in the world do we allow that to happen, and let it affect us so much that we can't even come to someone else and say, listen, I made this mistake, or listen, I failed here and I'm not understanding, or this had happened to me. Yeah, it may be embarrassing, yeah, it may be hurtful, but it's like we overcome by by talking that thing through. How many times have, to examine it, right? How many times have you failed at something and you said, man, I keep messing this up.
right.
I don't understand what I'm doing wrong.
Yes,
But if you ask me, I'm like, okay, what were you doing? I'm
right,
able to help you then look at this failure. That's where the lesson comes in, to be able to examine it and say, I see what you did there. How many
right,
times have we seen that, or that's happened to us, or we have been the one to assist someone else out? You
right,
know, I see what you did there. You didn't do this before that.
right,
You
right,
didn't you didn't put X before Z or whatever, or Y before Z, or however it goes. And just with you sharing that with me, instead of allowing yourself to be so frustrated and just giving up on a thing, it very well can be that we may have to scrap this project, because I don't know. I mean, it's just like, that's just a no-go. But that's still a lesson, that's still learning, that's still you moving in the right direction, saying, okay, if this didn't work, then what can?
right,
Right. And by us getting together, the two heads are better than one, two minds are better than one, or whatever the case may be, we can help each other. But if
exactly,
I never know what you're going through, if I never know that you are struggling in this area, how can I help you? How can, if you never if you keep it all to yourself, how can God provide the answer? I mean, yes, he'll tell you, he could tell you directly, but he uses people,
right,
to be his arms and legs and his mouthpiece. So we are helpers one to another. So why would I, if I'm in my error, and of course you don't take advice from ever in any old body, but
mm,
you get trusted people, someone that has been where you're trying to go. That's why they say surround yourself. If you're trying to be a millionaire, surround yourself by millionaires. If you're trying to be a successful entrepreneur, surround yourself with successful entrepreneurs that have walked the same path, that have been, some, if not the same place, somewhere similar. They've seen where you have been, what you're going through. They've seen it before. The
right,
Bible said there's nothing new under the sun. So if we remember that, we got to know somebody has experienced this. Perfect example is tonight.
mhm,
As you notice, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's watching, behind me, the background is the same as the first week. Now I had discovered how to create this background and do all this other stuff, and to make things all nice. And something happened to my laptop, and now the picture doesn't show up right. My camera's not working. So it's just like, I could have been like, okay, forget it, forget this. But no, it's like, no, we're gonna rise to the occasion. I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna look, and I'm gonna learn why that happened. I'm gonna
right,
discover. If I cannot figure it out for myself, I will seek help. I'm not just gonna sit there and not let my camera work. If it's fixable, and it can be, it may be just something that's outside of my area of expertise. But I'm gonna look and I'm gonna see what I can find, and I'm gonna seek help, and let somebody help me to get it right. Because, well,
right,
guess what? I'm gonna walk away the better for it, because I'll my camera will be back on. If you make errors and you decide to fall forward, not backward, you know, you'll be the better for it.
right,
You'll come out stronger for it. you'll be in your sweet spot, just like you with the coordinations. That's your area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It absolutely not. And I think that's very, and with failure, or like you say, seeing it in a positive way, falling forward, not backwards, not falling forward because you're falling forward because you're still progressing, you're still moving, you're still going forward. It's good to have those support systems around you during that time, because you need that. Like you say, no one wants to experience failure or wants to know how rejection feels and all that kind of stuff. It's a very bad feeling. And when you're dealing with so much stuff, and then you fail in the midst of dealing with stuff, it's even harder. So you have to have your support systems. You have to have the people that you can, comfortably talk to and say, you know what, I am really dealing with trying to um, deal with my failure, what I consider a failure, see the positivity out of the a failure, and then trying to move forward from that failure. Sometimes our failures, it's just not private. Sometimes our failures are it's audience. Um,
Right.
Sometimes you go on social media and you see someone blasting another business about how bad of services that they and
Mm-hmm.
like your company, your name, who you are, everything that you've done build for is now being broadcast because it could have been a moment of failure. You probably took on something that was too big for you to bite off, or you did the best that you could do and you did your job and you did what you were hired for, but now you have someone who felt like you didn't arise to the occasion. Now you have someone who feels like they don't owe you anything, or that or they feel like they should get some of their money back, and you're sitting here, but I did the job, like,
Right.
and I have ran into that, and it's just like, it's crazy. Like, it's like, what? Thankfully I never experienced that, but I know a lot of people who have. I know a lot of people, they sit around and they talk about other business owners and people and stuff like that, of their experiences of them, and you're like, ooh, like, I mean, I hope no one can say those words about me, but the truth of the matter, it might be someone out there who thinks, don't ever go to Yvette because she doesn't do blah blah blah, or or don't ever, they may have those feelings, and that just comes with, being successful. You're going to have your naysayers, you're going to have your people who you probably never met in a million, don't know nothing about you but your first name because of social media, and don't even know who you are as a person, who already just don't like you based on other people, based on other people's experiences of you, because
Right.
everybody's not gonna have the same experience. Uh,
Right.
Everybody's not gonna, you'll get. I got like five personalities, right? So you you'll get, Yvette the businesswoman. Oh, Yvette the businesswoman, she's on point. She'll be blah, blah, blah. You'll get out drill. She's the the shy one. Everybody who knows me knows who out drill is, me. She's she's the shy, sort of quirky. But then you got Dre. You got who's a little gangster. So
Mm-hmm.
it just, people experience you in the moments that they are, and so I'm just, putting that out there to all my business people out there that watch this live. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay for the negative reviews, because you take those negative reviews and you
Mm-hmm.
take what you may consider like, dang, like, really, like, this person, especially when you're black don't, you're small, you're just getting started, you're like, dang, like, they really put me on blast. Don't take it as a stopping point. Don't take it as a failure. Take it as a teaching and learning. Okay, what would I do different? Maybe I need to tighten up on my contracts. Maybe I need to tighten up on my communication.
Mm-hmm.
There is something that I'm not really, like, my forte, like planning. I had to learn that through, like, what I felt like, oh no, no, no,
Right.
no. I consider a failure for me, even though it was a success. But I felt like it was a failure for me because it was a lot put on me. And I was like, this is, I saw the process through, but this was not for me. This is not what I want to do. Like, no, that's just too much. So that's for all my business people out there in the in Facebook world or social media world or whatever platform that we're going to be, YouTube world, um, Instagram world, um,
all
so
the girls.
all the worlds out there.
But you
Uh,
know that they have that saying that there's no use crying over spilled milk,
right.
right? So, in even in the scenario that you painted, where someone is not happy with you, I mean, there's two. That's the purpose of having one business coach,
Yeah.
and the right business coach, like you said, the right people in your circle that will help you to one that will be less likely to happen when you know who your ideal client is,
I,
because sometimes we align with the wrong people, and like we were talking about last week, and what usually brings us joy could end up being a burden. But
mhm,
sometimes you can have the ideal client. You can have that specific person that you're like, this person, she checks all the boxes, or he checks all the boxes when it comes to having a client, if we're talking business. And and it can still go wrong, you know
right.
though, like you said, there's lessons still in that. So it's like, understand that it happened, understand what you need to do to make it right, if it's possible. Understand that even at my very best, I'm not everybody's cup of tea,
Right.
and that what they may want, I may not be able to deliver.
Right.
And a mutual friend of ours, I'm gonna mention her, Natalie Lewis, right? One
Mm-hmm.
of the things she mentions, because she does her makeup, she's a makeup artist slash evangelist slash a lot of things, right? She's
Life coach.
multi-talented.
Yes.
But one of the things I remember her saying that kind of stuck out to me was that she was like, I know what type of makeup I do.
Right.
She's more, and if you see her work, you'll see she's more natural. She's not very glam. She doesn't do a lot of glam makeup. She does more natural, like natural beauty makeup is
Mm-hmm.
what I call it. That she just really enhances what you have going on.
Mm-hmm.
And just elevates it, right?
Right.
And that's what she does, is she stays in that lane. So it's like, okay, if you come to me saying you want glam, then I may not be the one for you. Yes,
Right.
I can do what you are asking, but if you're asking for something that's outside of my wheelhouse, knowing your wheelhouse, no, is but all that is, as we're growing and maturing as entrepreneurs, and business owners, all of that starts to define itself. That's why it's important to not hide your mistakes. It's important to not, well, one, if you're going to reveal your errors, and to learn these important lessons, you reveal them in the right area, you
Right.
reveal them in the right circle of people, in the middle of wise counsel. you know the Bible speaks of, the wise man listens to godly counsel. So it's like, you put yourself in a place to listen to good counsel, not just letting people just say whatever, because not everybody has something that will be helpful. And even if someone says something that is hurtful, or they may say something you don't like, because I mean, of course, we're sensitive about what we like,
Right.
what we poured our blood, sweat, and tears into. So we're sensitive about it. People have said many things to me that it made me shed tears, but guess what? Because it hurt.
Right.
Because I was hoping for this one other thing, and it didn't turn out to be that for me at all.
Right.
And that was a hard truth that I had to face. But you know what? I understood what they meant, even if it hurt me. The saying, you eat the meat, spit out the bones. You
Mm-hmm.
take the good, you leave the bad, and you apply it to your life so you can become a better person, that you can become a better you, a better business person, that you can offer, that you can know and be assured that even if someone is not happy with what you've done your very best. Because
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, that's all you can do, is your very best. Now, your very best and their expectation of your very best can be two different things. But if you've done everything within your power to fulfill your contract, or to fulfill, some people just ain't gonna never be happy. It's all about what they expect. And another perfect example is, at my current job, someone, and I'm just gonna use word cake,
Right.
right? They were asking for us to send them some information. But it's just like somebody coming to you saying, I want cake.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, well, we have this chocolate cake here, and that's what we've been passing out all day. So here's cake. And then they send it back. No, that's not right. But all they say is, I want cake. And we're
Right.
asking, well, what's wrong with this is cake?
Right.
What's wrong with what I'm giving you? And they still say, that's not right. I want cake. You give them a different, you give them vanilla. Oh no, I want cake. And you like, oh my goodness, this is cake.
Mm-hmm.
You can give them everything that you feel that they're saying, and they may not even fully understand what they want.
Exactly.
Because if they fully understood what they wanted, then maybe they would have realized that you're not the glam girl, you're the more natural beauty girl.
Right. Right.
So they're asking you for cake and not realizing that there's different types of
Type
cake.
the cake. Right.
You tell me exactly the kind of cake you want. And if you say, oh, I want this, very, like, okay, our friend Dresa makes all these wonderful cakes, right? I don't know, I'm thinking about cake. But anyway, she makes all these amazing cakes. You ain't gonna get that from me. And if you say you want a certain kind of cake, I would quickly let you know that is not what I do.
Right.
Now I can do that box stuff, no problem. But if you want the glamour, the pretty fondant laid out cake, that's not my thing.
Right.
And I
Absolutely.
can direct you, I can better direct you. But if you understand, so it's just so many factors that go into what makes a great experience.
Right.
So we will fail. We will not always make someone happy. But we can rest assured that if we do our very best, that we can take our lessons, we could take our knocks, and and brush ourselves up, like you say, even if it's updating that contract, even if it's updating our practices, whether it's understanding and really fine tuning exactly what type of client that we're looking for, or and we're just talking business right now, but that's in any aspect of your life.
That's right.
You have a better understanding, you still walk away winning. Tim, what's Pastor Tim name? He does Tim Ross. Okay, Tim Ross. I listened to the basement, and Tim Ross. One of the things he said, when he said, "Oh, you're not losing," because we think failing is loss.
Right.
Failure is loss. He said, "No, you didn't lose. You learned."
Mm-hmm.
So how are you looking at it? Are you looking at your fall as a loss, or are you looking at it as a lesson, something to be learned from, something to dust yourself up and say, you know what, I'm not gonna do that one again. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that hurt. When I was taking karate, I walked around limping a lot because I was like, ooh, they just hit me in my chest.
Right.
I ain't gonna do that again. I'm not gonna come at them that way again. I mean, but I'm not gonna stop, because
Right.
guess what? I wanted to become better. I wanted to grow. I wanted to advance. I wanted to do more. So where others like, oh no, you hit me. That was the last hit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm, I can't take it. I can't take it. But that's your decision too. It's not that you failed and that made karate wasn't your cup of tea. It
Right.
wasn't your thing. It just so happened to be mine. But guess what? When they messed my knee up, I was like, you know what?
Yeah. That's a wrap.
I was
So
good until I messed my knee up. But even in that, I still miss it. You know what I'm saying? So I would totally go back and do other things surrounding it. But because I just won't do that again. Like the sparring, that part is just not for me at this moment, right? But
yeah.
but you learn it's either for you or it's not. And
Right.
either way, though, is what we want everybody to know is either way, it's okay.
Okay.
If it's for you or if it's not, it's okay, because God orders our steps.
Right.
If we allow him to order our steps, he will quickly show us whether or not it's for us or not. If it's in your heart to do, just know that it may not be, you may run into a roadblock, and that means not to stop. That means you just don't go that way right now.
Right.
Don't go left. The left way, that didn't work out. Let's go right. Let's keep moving forward. And that's the name of the game, is falling forward, not fall back, not letting what happened to us become a hindrance, like a stumbling block. You
Right.
can use whatever happens, the different lessons we learn in life, to, as you can use it to stumble, or as a crutch, or you can use it as a building block. It's your choice. Nobody can choose that for you, but we just encourage you with that, to keep moving forward, to keep looking forward, and pressing forward. Like in the Bible, one of the scriptures was saying, talking about, we're pressing toward the mark of Jesus Christ. Well, hold on, let me not mess the scripture up. Hold on. It says, I press toward the mark of the higher calling, which is in Jesus Christ, right? So it's like, keep moving forward, keep pushing. We're not perfect, but that don't mean we can't push and keep working toward being a better and better us every day.
Yeah. One of the things, well, I was going to ask, and I think you sort of touched on it,
Mhm.
anyway, was to, I was going to ask you, what is your advice that you would give to an individual who are in the process of this reset,
Mhm.
guide, or they're going through the reset, 28-day reset challenge, and what would you tell them about, or what advice would you give them when it comes to, um, resetting? Like, what advice, I'm trying to word this right. What advice would you give them about, falling forward while they're going through the reset guide? So the reset challenge, or the reset 28-day reset
Mhm.
challenge or guide, is for them to sort of put a pause to
Right.
what they're doing, to
Yeah.
sort through and, really look at every aspect of their life, whatever it is that they want to focus on. Um, what When it comes to failures in life, um,
Hmm.
they're going through this reset. What kind of things should they focus on, or dwell on, or meditate on, to get them sort of prepared to release the button, and now they're zooming straight ahead, and now they're at a point of failure. So what kind of tools, or what kind of things should they focus on that will get them prepared for that failure? That's the question. There you go. I couldn't get it out.
Okay. So yeah, first I want to apologize for me doing all this because I there's this these. It seems like there's just one net, and I know the whole army, and I know they're trying to distract me, but it just kept like right here in my face. But just to let you guys know for a brief second, eucalyptus changes everything. I put a little eucalyptus oil on my hand. Anyway, I was just like, I know y'all like, what is she doing? This business? What? Whatever. But yeah, what I would say is my advice while you are going through this reset, it's all about the whole thing is about mindset. You
Mhm.
know, the changing the way you think, changing the way you see things, changing your perception. Is the glass half full? Is it half empty? Guess what? The glass has water in it. Drink it if you're thirsty. What does it matter? You know what I'm saying? What does it matter if this is this or this is that? What is it that you are supposed to be learning from this? Is what I'm saying. Like we spend too much time one word about the wrong thing. Have you ever heard somebody say, you worried about the wrong thing? It's
Mhm.
not even about
It's
that.
not even worth worrying
Yeah,
about.
you stuck in something, and we all get that. I'm stuck like that. I have to call my friends and be like, listen, I be going way, way out there with my thoughts and my explanations and my processes. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, all right, okay, what I'm gonna do is this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and then I have to have somebody pull me back and say, whoa, 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 you worry about the wrong thing. You
Mhm.
spend so much time worried about how to get around the corner that you're not even moving forward.
Right.
Right? You spend so much time worrying about the incident, what happened, instead of worrying about what do I learn from this? How can I fix this? How can I move forward from this? Not
Right.
saying that we don't acknowledge it, because of course to ignore something, how can you get better at something if you ignore the lesson too, right? You
Right.
got, to take ownership. For me, being a virtual assistant, the buck stops with me. When I
Right.
make an error, my job is to say, you know what, I messed up. I made a mistake.
Right.
But I'm also, yes, I made the mistake. Yes, I'm taking ownership. It was me, because it ain't one of those who did it. It was me. This is what I did. Taking ownership right up front and as early as possible, understanding where you are in the process, or and even in the responsibility of a thing helps you.
Mhm.
Understanding that the what's the true goal here. The true goal in this example is that I made an error. I failed.
Right.
However, in my failing, I also was thinking, how can I make this better? Can I make this better? If so, how? What are some of the options to make this a better process or a better outcome, and then not and then having the courage to move forward in it, because it does take courage. Like once you fall on your face, or once you fall off that bike, once the little girl fell at what she was trying to flip, it took courage to go back and do that flip again. It takes courage to get back up on that bike knowing you just fell, and maybe in front of everybody, and hurt yourself real bad, maybe, you know what I'm saying. it takes it takes courage to do that, and give yourself grace, knowing that you're not perfect, knowing that, life happens to us all.
Ab-
Maybe the way my life is happening is not the way your life is happening right now, but life is happening.
right.
And like I said, giving yourself grace and understanding what you want to come out of this with, you know um understand. And that's what the examples are like, even with the quotes from Denzel and the different quotes that are in there, are just encouraging you, that, and saying, hey, if this everybody knows Denzel. If
Yeah.
then hey, you fall, get back up, that it's natural. You know what I'm saying? That failing is natural. He didn't become a famous, he ain't just wake up and walk into the audition and get his first part. I mean, I don't know about the brother, he might have, but not everybody goes into the you know what I'm saying. Most of these people have these real stories. Like even with Steve Harvey said he was staying, what, living in his car,
Yeah, living in his car.
living
He
in his car.
living in his
And God provided, but he had a dream and he had belief, and he, you know what I'm saying. I'm like, everything wasn't easy and cut and dry. No, and so if it's not for them, why would it be for us?
mm,
Why, if it wasn't perfect for them, why would it be perfect for, you know what I'm saying? All of this stuff, it builds your character. Do you know that, you become stronger, from, you become strong. Like I was just thinking, and that's why I slow down, because even as you talk about going to the gym, that's how you build muscle, right? Your muscle tear,
mm-hmm.
right? So your muscles tear, then it heals, and then it grows and gets stronger. Your muscle tear, when you're doing the lifting and stuff, they're like your muscle tears, and then it, comes back together, whatever, and it just grows stronger. That's how you get stronger, right? By your muscle tearing. So if something tears, that means it kind of failed,
Right.
right? It failed to hold together, right? Because when you just doing reps, like regular stuff that's not this real light, you're not tearing nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's light. You know what I'm saying? You're not even stressing your muscles. So, just think about that. Everything, what I'm saying, everything will, fails. Everybody fails. This, you're not by yourself. And that's the trick of the enemy that makes you feel that way.
Right.
That you say, oh, I will never get over this. I mean, the power of life and death does lie in your tongue. So if you say so, but you're putting that boundary on yourself.
On yourself. Correct.
Your call doesn't mean forever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
One of the daily questions that I really liked out of this week was falling is sometimes seen as bad or embarrassing. What would you say would be the benefit of falling? And we touched based on that already, like the
yeah,
what the benefit it was. But I think that is a question that that hit hit that hit that hit to me, that was relevant to me at this time. Like I said, when we look at failures, I'm my biggest critic. I think a lot of us say that we
right,
are critic. I am definitely my biggest critic. It will sort of cause me to when I don't succeed or feel like I have succeeded, it is sometimes it'll stop me straight in my track. Like I will stop everything. I would drop everything.
mm-hmm,
Okay, well maybe this wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. Even though
right,
I enjoy it, I think it's fun. I think it's something that I should be doing. It's part of my purpose in life. It gives me joy. But that moment that it does not go right, or it doesn't go to according to plan, or it doesn't feel like, oh well maybe I should have stayed up 2 more hours and did more, or maybe I should have communicated more, or all those kind of things, it stops me. Or maybe I should have, you know did this and did that and did this. It does stop. So when I saw this, I was like, what is what, there are benefits. And that's why
yeah,
I shared what I shared earlier
right,
about it's learning, it's teaching, it's you're growing, your development. It shows you the good, the bad, the not to do, what to do. It really gets you to that point. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
right,
To get through that. especially when it's done in front of other people, especially when other people, bring their opinions and their viewpoints on what you should or should not have done, or why not. And you're sitting here like, dang, I'm already struggling within internally about these things. And I may not be crying or knocking over stuff or having a fit, but I'm
Right.
going through an internal battle with my own failures, than to have someone else to come on and put their opinions on what
Right.
it's even harder. So, but from that, you learn. Sometimes that is your motivation.
That's
Um,
true.
Sometimes, you find, you're not doing those things become your driving points to say, that's fine. That's okay. Okay. And it strengthens you. It builds character. It builds integrity. It builds, it toughens your skin. I remember when I first started working for DCF, and as a child protective investigator, mind you, I went to school for social work. I went
Mm-hmm.
for social work, and I thought I was gonna, help people. I wanted to be a psychiatrist. I wanted to open up my own, counseling center. I wanted to do all these things, and I got the job as a child protective investigator. All of my jobs up to that point were helping people with what they needed. This was a different type of help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was so green, I was so green. I didn't know until I got with that first client who was like, if I ever see you again in these streets, I got you,
Whoa. Like got you in a bad way?
in a bad way.
Ah, she said. Like you like, no. Black eye.
And,
Gotcha.
and me not, I'm like, and I'm coming in like, so long story short, like, not to get into everything.
Mm-hmm.
I almost got her evicted from her apartment complex because one, she was having some other people live in her apartment complex that wasn't supposed to be there, and two, it smelled like marijuana. So I went to the front office thinking I'm doing, the right thing in life, right? Green,
Mm-hmm.
and saying, hey, um I just want to inform you guys, like, because I didn't know like what my position
Wow.
on in this situation, that these are the things that's going on in this particular person's home. And so the manager was like, oh, well, that's an automatic eviction. And I was like,
Yikes. You're
okay.
like, oh Lord. I'm
So
sorry.
so so the landlord says, I have to go to her house to let her know this is happening. And my green butt just said, well, I mean, like, I guess I'll go with you. I was like, do I need to come with you? Like, I didn't know what to do.
Right, right. You didn't know the
So I
protocol. Yeah.
Right, I should have just called my supervisor, like, listen, what do I do? But I was like, so she was like, yeah, come over there with me. So she comes over there.
Yeah,
She takes
she want to back up. She like,
right,
yeah, come
yeah.
with me.
So the lady's outside at this point, and she comes over there and she tells her, like, this was your last morning. I told you, blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there, and out of my mouth, I'm like, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna help you find somewhere else to stay, because I felt bad because I didn't know.
Yeah, that was what it was.
And I'm like, oh, like, maybe there's other things that we can do to, like, get the situation under control. And the girl, she just looked at me, and she was just like, she had her words that she said, her cussing
I'm
words.
sure that wasn't
Yeah,
holy.
it wasn't just like, oh, when I see you, I'm gonna beat your behind, little girl. Like, no, it's like, when I
She like, lady, when I see you, it's on site.
it's just know I'm gonna catch up with you. Like, it will happen. You da 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 da, like, blah blah blah. Like, I was not a social worker or helping anybody at that point. I was everything.
Right.
And it just, calling, I remember getting in my car, and I remember calling my boss, and she's like, I need you to come to the office right now. And I'm like, okay, because by this time she had
Mm-hmm.
called the office, and
Oh my.
she was like, I'm reassigning the case to someone else, or whatever. I'm like, yeah, because she was like, I heard what happened. She already called the office, like, going off, cussing, blah blah. So I get to the office. I remember getting to the office, No, I remember like for some reason I remember like yeah, I must have went to the office first. No. I was on the phone with my supervisor. And all I remember is by the time I was getting ready to pull out, my supervisor was pulling in. And we lived like it wasn't like our office wasn't right down the road. So that
Mm-hmm.
means by the time like all of this was like sort of said and done, somebody must have called somebody. She got word, and she shot down there with somebody with another one of my coworkers. Because by the time I'm pulling off, they're pulling in to the apartment complex, and she like, we finna handle, we finna get this under control. Like because one thing that's not finna happen is you're not finna threaten my PI, my worker, and
Mm-hmm.
be okay. You're not finna call my office and think that
Right.
this is fine. Like no, because at the end of the day, she's right. You're not supposed to be doing these things. And so like it was crazy because law enforcement was already out there on another situation. So law enforcement was already there and all that kind of stuff. But in that moment, it was like, dang, like, I was like, dang, like I didn't mean to get nobody in trouble. I didn't, and I felt bad. Like I boo hoo cried. Like I was just like in tears, like all this other kind of stuff. But that situation toughened me up. Like I realized at that moment, you're not in that position no more. You can't come like that no more. You gotta come a different way. And that gangster ghetto girl from South Side of Tallahassee who you don't, you say, I ain't gonna never be like that gangster girl. Like, I'm gonna be the good girl. You gotta pull her from somewhere because these people out here ain't about their life. And so I had to pull that girl up and say, okay, we hear her too long. Come on. And even though I never was disrespectful to anybody that I encountered, but I knew I had to come a different way with clients, in some instances. So
Right.
like it, it taught like so situations where you think that you're failing are learning, and
Right.
that
Yeah. That's
and
exactly. It's just you choose.
yeah,
And with that case in point, it's like one, the lady knew she ain't got no business doing that because when you sign
oh business.
two, even though you were doing your job, you quickly found out that there's certain things that you didn't anticipate. Like when you embark on any venture, there's certain things about those those ventures that you may not anticipate, no amount of planning,
No.
schooling. Have you ever heard somebody say, "Oh, you book smart, but not street smart"? So it's,
Hmm.
oh, you went to school and you learned all this stuff. That's why when you're going to school and in college, they encourage internships. They encourage doing those volunteer hours and
Hmm.
like that because you can learn as much as you want,
But it's
but
so
out the book. But real life kicks in and real life scenarios kick in, and you may have the best intentions at heart. That's what we were talking about early, like with the proverbial client that you did your very best for and they still weren't happy. Certain things just are outside of your
control.
and outside of your control. And so it's like, but how do you even combat those when you in the right? And it's still a fall. It's still a fail. It's still a whatever. And but that's where you have like the benefits of falling for it, like we were talking about, is the fact that you learn what to not do next time. You learn how to even better protect yourself.
Yes.
It's like you learn how to better treat people. You learn how to better approach a particular, a situation. It's all about learning, really. It's
Right.
about learning and applying. It's about understanding, and then and your reaction. It's about you making the choice to either let something go. You know what I'm saying? Because if God, you like, God, you told me to go this way. I don't understand why this didn't work.
Right.
And it's not even about this not working. It's about there's something in this that you needed to learn in order to, like you say, a muscle that you had to build, or a lesson to be had that you had to do, that you had to learn first, because God knows where He's taking us. We have no clue. You can go, babe. Oh no, I thought, okay, wrong kid. Sorry. I thought I'm on the live. request. Sorry, excuse me, guys. Um, but yeah, I thought it was my daughter. I thought she was needing to leave. But I'm on a
Yeah. So, um, yeah, so that's one thing that I learned. Like, and that's one thing about failure is that no one anticipates failure. No one anticipates.
nobody. Yeah,
You can run. I'm the type of person, I run like I try to run every scenario in my head that could possibly happen, from the good, the bad, the ugly, and I still be like, okay, that scenario never popped in my head. So it just, you just have to just, take it as part of life lessons, that
yeah,
you're gonna come to the point you're not gonna be successful, but that doesn't mean to stop.
right,
Never ever stop. If it's part of your passion, your purpose, you enjoy it, it's something that you love to do, it's something that you need to do, because sometimes we have to do stuff we don't want to do, but we need to do it for our sake, for our
right.
mental, physical, financial, all of that. Keep going. You're gonna
Yeah,
have moments where you're gonna be like, dang, I shouldn't have done that. Or
right.
that would have, if I would have did this or that and the third. I mean, there is a whole era in my life where
Hmm.
I was like, I shouldn't have done
Yeah,
that.
but
That
that goes with the story. If you guys read the story for this week, that shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like,
that
how many times we say that shoulda, coulda, woulda. I should have said this. I should have did this. I woulda did this. Now, will that circumstance come around again for you to practice that shoulda, coulda, woulda? Maybe,
yeah,
maybe not. But
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But the whole purpose behind that story is understanding that God is ordering your steps, understanding that um all of this is working, working for your good, right? God is using all of it as a part of your journey, a part of your testimony, a part of your story that will also serve to encourage somebody else. Because guess what? Just like I say, leading by example. Leading by it falls back into the leading by example. Somebody's watching how you fall, but they're
right,
also watching how you get up. Somebody's watching how you say, you speak about that. Well, how are you acting in that regards? Am I moving forward? Am I yielding to the spirit? Am I allowing God to order my steps? Am I still saying, even not only just talking to others, but seeking the greatest counsel of all, which is him? God, am I in the right space? Because we do things sometimes that just we just don't think it through. Oh,
right.
we just jump at, and God like, I ain't tell you to do that. Did God tell you to do it? You know what I'm saying? We find that those out the hard way sometimes, but we learn that lesson and we keep moving forward.
Yeah,
We learn
absolutely.
that lesson and we keep moving forward. That's how it goes.
Absolutely. So I'm just so excited about this week. This week was very good. So anybody out there who is now on fall for always, if you're on that week, I would love to hear from you guys of
Yeah.
what you learned from that, because it's such a powerful week. It's taking something that we are in our mindset is looked at as being negative, and it's turned it into a positive. So I would
Absolutely.
love to hear some of you guys' feedback on what you learned, or what you gonna your takeaway from this week with fall for always. I think this was the most powerful one for me, maybe because I'm in that season.
Yeah.
Like, so that's just the season that I'm in right now, where I'm learning that you know
Right.
failures are for the good. What I think is bad is actually for the good. I can't
Absolutely.
complain about it. Now next week, which is our last week, I can't believe
Mm-hmm.
it so fast,
So
it's
fast.
edifying others.
Yes.
So I am so excited about this last week. If you do not have the book, like, again, 28-day reset guide. Again, you can get it from Amazon. You can get it on
Yeah.
Kendra's website. Um, Life, is it Kendra's